Well, this is pretty.
Yeah. Hello everybody and welcome to a Let's Play of Odin Sphere Leaf Dressier. I'm not gonna call it that because it's just Odin Sphere HD with much better gameplay. And yeah, if you're wondering, wait a minute, don't you have an entire video series of this game? And the answer is yes, I streamed it once upon a time. I streamed the PlayStation 2 version, and it sucked. Well, I shouldn't say it sucked, I should say it was unpleasant to play, and Leaf Dressier fixed that. So here's the level select screen.
Okay, this is already adorable.
I usually leave it to the person themselves. Let them handle it. But a neat thing you could do that I never knew about ever is that you could pet Socrates. If you just go to the chair and then press up, you could pet the cat.
That is a remarkable touch, and I'm already willing to give this game a 10 out of 10.
And if you don't have the cat, you just bounce in the chair. There's like absolutely no reason why all this has these little details, but they do, and it's kind of why I like Vanillaware so much. But enough about that, let's read a story.
Is that how this is framed? Or is it Child's Fables?
Basically, if Child's Fables were kinda dark and tragic.
Okay, so it's like a Japanese Grimm's Brothers.
Kinda. This is more like a retelling of Ring of the Nibelung, it's not opera. Opera's not what I'm thinking of, is it? It's a play of some kind written by Richard Wagner way back in the day. And this is a drastic retelling.
Oh, good.
I say drastic because there's a bit of liberties to prevent, you know, copyright claims and also developers' own ideas.
It is definitely a very visually impactful thing already.
Yes, I've mentioned this before in in a lot of other videos. Vanillaware is a company comprised of 3 programmers and 21 artists. You can tell.
I think we did briefly touch on that actually while doing was it Muramasa?
Yes.
There we go.
So here's our first main character.
Griselda.
And for everybody wondering why I'm talking during the cutscenes, because these are all very touching and wonderful moments, I will provide commentary-less cutscenes. That way people that just want to see the plot will see the plot, and then people that want to see the changed gameplay. And the other caveat with this LP, which I'll mention later, that will be the main
I
part.
cannot follow my king into the final battle. No.
So
don't give up.
so we're starting out with a main character.
Gwendolyn,
No, we're
please
taking
take
the weapon
this.
of a dying
I have no
other
use for
character.
it now.
Good.
Yeah, Griselda and Gwendolyn are sisters of the mighty
This
King Odin.
spear has slain many foes, making a mountain of corpses. The king
Mountain of Corpses.
Yep.
There's
will undoubtedly praise my
definitely
actions.
some good writing staff here.
I'm sure he will.
I've always felt Odin Sphere's writing was genuine because it's
You're
It's
too
not-
kind, sister.
modern dialect. A lot of the writing in this game has
Your
a
older sister will leave the
slight
world
touch
as a great
of Old
warrior.
English in various parts, like here.
It is so
And it
dark
gives it
here.
that bit of earnest element to it.
Gwendolyn. I
It
can't
yeah, it's definitely stylized very well, and I've got to say I'm already really impressed with the quality of the voice acting.
Yeah, this is 2004, I want to say.
I won't let you
I don't
go
remember
on
the
for long.
actual year offhand, but it was
shall
about the
be
same
by
time
your
Persona
side
3 came
soon
out.
enough.
I think it's 04 or 05. I think you're right.
But yeah, the voice acting is really good, which is kind of shocking because for the remake, they did not re-record a single line.
We have lost this battle.
That was what I was about to ask you. So you're telling me this is the original voice acting from over a decade
Yes.
ago? That is absolutely incredible. That blows my mind.
Yeah, it's kind of impressive because in game development, people usually scuttle the assets the moment the game is released. Especially during that era of games.
I will face
yeah.
it.
So it's kind of a shocker that they kept all that data.
Oh, good. The Shadow Knight's a pretty boy.
I mean, there's a reason for that.
Kill me
Are they
now.
siblings? They have the same hair.
How long do you intend to
Actually,
keep
no.
me
You'd
pinned
think that,
down?
but no. It's not a Star Wars thing.
Ugh, why are they defying my trope expectations?
There's a lot of tropes, but this is not one of them. Shadow...
Oh, he's so edgy. I love
Yeah,
it.
Shadow Knight's a pretty cool character despite his, obvious designs.
At this point, I cannot go back.
I just love that Berserker in the back there just fucking dead.
Please, wait. But what good are troops that have lost their
Your
leader?
troops are dead. Who gives a shit? Army of corpses.
And now for the mechanic tutorial. So a lot has changed since Odin Sphere 1. The main big thing is that combat is completely revamped. In the original Odin Sphere, it was very bare bones. You had one combo, that's it, and you could also cast magic. For the remake, they kind of made a jury-rigged mix of stuff they learned from the Muramasa DLC and some elements of Dragon's Crown. Mainly, the combat is Muramasa, the level design is Dragon's Crown.
I was going to say, it looks like this would play very similar to Muramasa.
I think it's mainly because Gwendolyn herself is meant to be a tutorial character, and a lot of her moves are very reminiscent of Muramasa.
Yeah, I can definitely see where they would, you could draw a lot of comparisons.
She has her own tricks too, like a lot of her moves are centered around blocking and charge attacks.
Okay.
Gwendolyn is a very easy to pick up, easy to master character, which makes sense because she's the first character. She's supposed to acclimate new characters, but a lot of her combat has surprising amount of depth. Like, when I first played Leaf Dressier, I kind of did a very basic combo of what I'm used to from Muramasa, but then I realized while recording this, sure, dash and drop attack and charge synergize really well. Like, you could go from an air combo to a drop attack into a charge attack and then go from there.
It's just, she seems very movement-oriented. I would imagine it can become surprisingly in-depth as long as you can maintain some momentum.
Honestly, I think she's the clunkiest character.
Really?
Yeah, because, in original Odin Sphere, the last character was the clunkiest character. In a HD remake, I think she's the clunkiest. Just because they try to keep the flight mechanic on her, and it doesn't work with Muramasa's gameplay style. So, one thing I'm going to mention, this LP is going to be entirely S ranks. I will not tolerate anything below an A.
What? Oh, man.
You do get ranked in this game, and ranking is, there's a lot of different ways to get S rank, and all of them are fairly difficult. This one is kind of a freebie because it's a tutorial mission. They don't really give you a challenge yet. But, yeah, I'm going for all S ranks. Ranks don't matter in the long run. They mainly give you better short-term rewards. However, as a matter of pride, I'm gonna S rank everything. Also, these are half tutorial, half lore. I'll probably post those in the thread.
By all means, did that just say that you're collecting phosons from the dead, which is, like, kinda not cool?
I mean, Ring of the Nibelung is loosely based on not Norse, but, like, I should say Odin Sphere is loosely based on Norse mythos, because you are King Odin, you are Gwendolyn is a Valkyrie, she collects the souls of fallen warriors for purposes. Now, unlike, Valkyrie Profile, which is the, Norse mythos game, you aren't collecting souls to summon Einhenrar? I forget what they're called. In this game, souls become a form of currency.
That's a little creepy, but alright.
Now, you use those phosons to create various things. One of them is food. This is a Vanillaware game, there's food. Now, when this thread goes up, it's gonna say heroic. Now, you are forced to level up in the tutorial, but once you pick the difficulty, you will be de-leveled, and I'll explain that once we get to the part I'm talking about. Right here.
Alright.
This LP is heroic mode. Heroic mode is hard mode, but when you level up, you don't get HP. Throughout the entire game, you will only ever have 115 HP.
Returned.
Now, in a system where your cap is quad 9s, and enemies can do a boatload of damage, and you're on hard mode, later on it gets really tough.
The foes had more reinforcements than we had anticipated.
You're
forced to enter a
so you're
battle
you're playing
of
it on the
attrition.
hardest difficulty, accepting only perfection.
The Valkyries suffered
Why?
many casualties,
What is wrong with you?
I like this game.
including Griselda, our commander.
I know of Griselda's
Also,
fate.
this is King Odin. He has a very magnificent
Griselda
beard.
fought bravely for you to the very
He has
end.
really weird proportions. What is going on with his torso?
This is
She
Vanillaware.
entrusted me with his spirit
Whenever
in her final
Vanillaware has
moments.
a thing about emphasizing
most
traits of a
gallant
character.
And
This is
noble
more
of
noticeable
all
in something
my
like Dragon's
warriors.
Crown, where the warrior in that
There's a special
game
weapon
was
known as a
vaguely
cipher.
shaped like Odin here, where he had big
Spirits
chest,
that
big
haunt
biceps, tiny
battlefields
legs,
and
tiny
uses
head.
their power to smite enemies.
And you'll see a lot of designs in that same vein, where some of the characters will have emphasized
We shall
proportions.
launch another assault on the enemy. I shall personally take
I'm
part
loving
in
his
this battle.
shoes though. I would
Send
wear
the troops
those.
when you're
Those are pretty
prepared.
great.
Yeah.
Father,
Also, Odin's a god, so fuck
is that all
normal
you have to
anatomy.
say about Griselda?
Perfectly fair.
Words will not bring your sister back.
I mean, he also doesn't appear to care too much about his dead daughter.
I mean, he's a
Time for
king, he's fighting a
sentimentality.
war. Odin is, much like in the stories, a complete heel.
Wonderful.
Now, this is a thing that I'm not going to touch on too often because the story explains itself, but this book explains that there are three primary factions. You have, actually that'd be four. You have Ragnarvel, which is Odin's territory. It is the land of pride, valor, combat, warrior. It's a very not tribalist. It's a very
Militaristic.
cast, yes. The opposing side, you have forget what they're called, but they're basically the elf civilization. The Vanir, that's what I'm thinking of. The Vanir are a race of elves that are focused more on nature, staying alive, preserving the environment, all that rot. They are at war with the Aesir over an artifact called the Cauldron.
At the moment, I have 4 soldiers ready.
The Cauldron is a means of controlling Phozon, which is a source of power.
The troops we started with.
Now, the Cauldron is created by a dead civilization known as Valentine.
Princess, hear me out. That spear is a magical weapon called a cipher.
I mean, I'm listening. It's just a lot of information to take in at once.
Yeah, it's basically a quick history primer, but yeah. All you need to know about Valentine now is that's fucking dead.
And is able to absorb and
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Valentine's story doesn't really come into play until chapters 2 and 5. Also, look at Dr. Eggman here.
Yeah.
What?
He even has the voice.
Griselda's dead because she rushed ahead of the main forces.
Oh my God, you're not kidding. What?
Certainly not because I was late to the battle.
What?
Lord,
General Bergen is a great character just because he plays a great villain.
but I hear he
I found him so hilarious that I was able to create him in Dark Souls 2.
Dastardly Queen of the Fairies? She was the
Queen of the Fairies. You know, that was my nickname in high school. Kids are cruel.
Monstrous beast.
She truly is evil.
I'm sorry, I just like crouching whenever I listen to anyone. It's hilarious to me.
You just stoop down to their level, man. It's fine.
More like she's trying to spy on people.
Spears, a jewel from the netherworld.
Do these guys have a name? Or are they just
These are
like
dwarves.
gnomes?
The netherworld.
Dwarves. There we go.
Yeah, dwarves are a strange faction in this game by merit of they work for basically anybody. The Aesir have them by merit of victory and might. The Vanir have gnomes, have dwarves because they didn't like working for the Aesir.
Princess,
Is that an anthropomorphic bunny?
I had
Kinda.
heard that the Shadow Knight looked like a demon, but
What do you mean? It's just like I only see half of it. It keeps turning around. It's kind of creeping me out, dude.
why?
Bunny Maid will be explained later in the story.
Hey, don't just.
Princess Gwendolyn.
Why is her voice actor so good?
Please.
They didn't skimp on the voice acting for this game. They went nuts.
Thank you, Miras.
What the actual hell are we
Shall
watching?
listen to
You're
you
watching
dream.
Odin Sphere. Pay attention.
I'm trying. I'm trying really hard. Believe me.
Now, one thing I noticed when I was originally playing Odin Sphere is that there's a lot of elements that remind me of Secret of Mana. Here we have effectively the shopkeeper from that game.
Oh hey. Oh okay. So the seeds grow when you collect Phozon, and then or when you apply Phozon, and then you eat that for experience.
Now I'm gonna.
All right, I'm learning.
I'm gonna disappoint a lot of people here. In the remake, shops are pretty fucking worthless. I can only think of 2 shops that are useful.
We're moving out now. Inform the troops.
That doesn't sound particularly promising.
It's weird mainly because in the original game there was more of an emphasis on item management and alchemy, which is a mechanic explained in later videos. But now that the combat is so improved that you don't even need alchemy, it just doesn't feel like you need shops anymore. Hell, even anything you get in the shop, you could also just get on the field, which is a bit of a design oversight, in my opinion.
I see.
I represent your innermost
That's
loves.
what are we watching?
I am pathetic. I've never been loved since the day I was born.
This is hitting way too close to home, man. I think that's my spirit animal.
Yeah, this is a bird chewing out Gwendolyn for her daddy issues.
You will simply die.
But the bird is talking some true shit.
Stop it! If I sacrifice myself for my duty,
Oh my god, I was not prepared for this. I was like, oh, I'm gonna see some neat artwork and gameplay with my buddy Highwang, and instead we go right into depressing daddy issue territory.
This is
the first video.
This is a very story-based video game. It's just that...
And, I'm assuming it's going to get substantially darker as time goes.
Yes.
Oh god.
Though I will say there is one story that I just don't care for, and it's halfway through the game, so at one point in the LP I'm just gonna hit a lull.
I do like the various cries of agony from the Elf Knights as they lap over each other while you keep comboing them.
Yeah. Once you get a hand on the combat, nobody stands a chance. However, in heroic mode, enemies have a lot more hit stun. It takes a lot more hit stun to stun. You're not going to see it now. However, in every enemy there are 3 types of enemies, or in every level there are 3 types of enemies that are a lot harder to deal with. Like in Muramasa, the one-hit mode was balanced by every enemy's scale to the normal difficulty, which is respectable because you only had 1 HP. In Odin Sphere, you have 115 HP, but there's no scaling. You're on hard mode.
Oh. Good. Are you... Why are you... No, the butterfly.
Butterflies are the souls of people fallen in the battlefield. We just absorb them and take their delicious Phozon.
I don't think that's what butterflies are. What are caterpillars then? Are caterpillars like the babies who were never baptized? That's what limbo is.
I don't want to go into that territory, but let's just go ahead and plant some let's go plant some berries on top of a pillar, because that makes sense.
And then it'll just grow into what?
Yeah, gardening. Hydroponics, people. Now, I apologize to everybody that's watching this, but I don't think until either episode 3 or 4 I realized, shit, I forgot to turn off the tutorial messages. Hang on.
No, it's fine. It's good. That's why I'm here. Also, you can bulk eat. Are you just gonna cram all those in your face at once? No, there's actually... Okay, good.
So, here's the thing about heroic mode. Leveling is a bit of a tricky bag. It still matters because you get a type of currency from leveling up for skills, but you also get general stat increases, and the game still does expect you to scale up with its system. So even though you have only a certain amount of HP, you have to stick with the curve or else you can beef it.
Gotcha.
Now, on a thing there, they told you about, the game just told you about charge attacks, which we covered before, but at some points, you might see me charge up a charge attack and then not release it. Mainly because, for whatever reason, the charge attack is odd. If you release both down and square at the same time, you cancel it? I don't know why that's
okay.
a thing, but that can really fuck up your combo if you don't know what you're doing. And I do that a lot.
Yeah, so what's the intended way to do it? Are you just supposed to release one of the buttons?
You just release attack button and it'll go.
Gotcha.
If you release both at the same time, you just drop the charge. This is Griselda's spear. It's basically saying it's a special spear that harvests souls, forged from a gem on the underworld.
Yeah, I mean, as spears are wont to be.
So there's going to be a lot of weapons that make you wonder, okay, how?
So what are those stars on the map corresponding
Difficulty of the fight.
to?
Which
Okay.
is kind of a misnomer considering with the difficulty, any hit is death for me.
Oh. Well, that's rather unfortunate.
Now, the thing about this is that I say hardest difficulty S rank, and that sounds tough, but with the way this game does grade and the circumstances you're in, you're going to get S rank on heroic mode, because if you don't, you die.
Okay.
Because grade degrades by either taking too much time or getting hit.
And neither of those are really things you can worry about, assuming you're skilled enough to play the game on heroic. Gotcha.
Yep.
So how many?
Now there are gonna be circumstances where I do eat shit and die because I don't prepare properly.
That's what I was going to ask. Is because at this point I think we have every episode that I'm going to be a part of already recorded, right?
Yeah, I have recorded so far all of Valkyrie.
Okay. So how many times would you estimate you actually died in the process of recording all of this?
37.
It's a good number.
All of them in one boss.
Oh no.
Now, I will say, if I had prepared, that boss would have been a chump, but I was stubborn and didn't want to do a thing that I should have. That will be explained, but yeah.
Wonderful. I eagerly anticipate it.